Hello everyone, this is part 12 of What If Naruto Awakened New Skills, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Naruto's walk home was uneventful. His thoughts revolved around who he was going to let move in with him. He wanted Hinata to move in, but he also wanted Sasuke. The decision was not an easy one to make for him. The walk shouldn't have taken him more than 10 minutes, but he'd slowed down so much with thinking it took him a full half hour to get home. He walked up to his front door and put the key in the lock. He hardly ever used the front door, but tonight he just wasn't thinking. If he tried to think about where his keys were, he never would have found them. Instead, his hand just moved to their location and pulled them out. He walked into his apartment and immediately he felt something was wrong. He placed his hand on the hilt of one of his wakizashis and slowly moved to turn the light on. As the light came on, his eyes quickly adjusted to it. He couldn't see anyone in the hallway or in any of the rooms from where he stood. He slowly moved forward and turned towards the front room. He reached into the room and flipped the switch inside and looked around. His eyes fell on someone standing in front of the window looking out. They wore a black cloak with the Konoha emblem printed in white on the back. In an instant, Naruto was standing behind them with the blade to their teeth. "Who are you?" he whispered. "Hello, son. I didn't even hear you come in," said Minato. Naruto removed his blade and sheathed it. "What brings you here tonight, Dad?" asked Naruto, moving back and sitting on the couch. Minato turned round, pushed the hood back and leaned back on the windowsill. "A couple of things. The first is that I'm here to offer you a house within the walls of the Namikaze compound. It's your choice if you want to take it and which of the other 4 houses you take," he said. "I'm not sure right now, but I probably will when I get back from the Land of Waves," replied Naruto. "That's fine. Unfortunately, the second isn't so pleasant. The council has demanded you take at least one more wife. Unfortunately, they've found a loophole in the marriage agreement between myself and Hashi. Whilst it protects both you and Hinata from arranged marriages, it does not protect you from forced civil partnerships. The council has agreed to give you 4 years to find a second fiancé, or they will arrange the civil partnership themselves, and before you say they can't do it, they can. An old law to protect any Kekkei Genkai states that the last male with any given Kekkei Genkai may take at least 2 female partners. They're using it along with a couple of other laws to force it. It states that women can't be forced into marriage for this reason, to protect them from rape. You are going to need to discuss this with Hinata. I'll do what I can to see if I can find some way to get you out of it, but I suggest you prepare to have at least one other partner." "I'm sorry, son," said Minato, looking at the floor. Naruto laughed, causing Minato to look up. What could he find so funny about this? How ironic. Now that I'm the last with the Fuengan and no longer have a Kahito sealed within me, they want me to not only live but have lots of children. 6 months ago their thoughts were on the sooner I was the better, said Naruto. Minato could see now. The village had always wanted Naruto for the fox sealed within him, but now that he had his Kekkei Genkai and didn't have the fox, he'd become as valuable to them as Sasuke. "Yes, irony loves to stick its nose in," said Minato. "I can't say I'm happy with it, and I doubt Hinata will be. I will talk to her, but I will want to speak to the council, and you can give them this warning. If my decision is not adhered to, I will leave the village and take Hinata with me. It is a promise, not a threat, I'm sad to say, but I will not be pushed around by the council anymore, and if the only way I can avoid that is to leave Konoha, then that is what I will do," said Naruto firmly. "I understand fully, and I'll tell the council your wishes. With that hanging over their heads, you could probably get almost anything from them, and if they don't, I can't see them being the council after the daimyo hears what happened," said Minato solemnly. "Thanks, Dad. Good night," said Naruto, walking up and hugging his father. It was still an uneasy experience for him, but something told him the situation was right for it. "No problem. Good night, Naruto," replied Minato, returning the hug. After a few moments they broke the hug and Minato disappeared in a yellow flash and Naruto went to bed. The next morning, a street in Konoha. Naruto was looking around the stores, getting the few remaining items that he needed for the trip. Every store would now sell him things at the normal price. They'd all heard about how powerful he was, and between the initial rumors of the promotion he got and the first-hand accounts of what he did to Sakura the day before, no one wanted to risk what he might do to them, although many were still unwilling to believe he no longer contained the Kyuubi. As he was walking along the street he heard someone call his name. Turning around he saw Konohamaru, Mogi and Udon running towards him. "What do you three want?" he said as they stopped in front of him. "Why did you put that thing on Hanabi's forehead? She didn't deserve that," said Konohamaru angrily. Naruto sighed. "Yes, she did, Squirt. She hasn't got any respect for other people, and before you start. She respects you because of your grandfather. That makes you worth her time. Mogi and Udon have your respect and friendship, and so she accepts them because of you. If they weren't friends with you, she wouldn't even give them the time of day," explained Naruto. Konohamaru looked downcast. He thought he was finally starting to find people who liked him for himself, and to learn now that even someone his own age was only interested in him because of his grandfather was quite upsetting. "So are you going to remove it?" he asked half-heartedly. "I will, when she learns to respect people for who they are, not their social position. Her sister always liked me even though I was an orphan, however the first time she spoke to me was yesterday. She didn't know that I was engaged to her sister or that I was the son of the current Hokage, and she called me a commoner. After she learned I was the next clan head, I could see her opinion change, but I knew it was only because I was going to be the clan head. I will say this for her, she did stand by her initial comments, that is until she found out I was a Hokage's son, then I became worth her time," said Naruto calmly. "Okay then, I understand," said Konohamaru. "But Konohamaru, you said you'd get him to remove it," said Mogi. "That was before I knew why he put it on in the first place. All my life people have referred to me as honorable grandson. The first time I met Naruto he hit me, and when I said about being the Hokage's grandson his reply was that he didn't care if the Hokage was my grandmother. He didn't care about giving me respect because of someone else. Hell, he hardly showed any respect to my grandfather. I knew he would treat me as a normal person. If I wanted respect from him I had to earn it, and I wanted to. Hanabi is the opposite. She expects people to give her respect because of her family, and this is a lesson she needs to learn," he said firmly. Naruto could see Mija's eyes light up as she heard him talk. She really liked him, maybe even loved him, and she understood the point he was making. "I'll see you guys around. I've got to get ready for a mission. I'm leaving in a couple of hours," said Naruto as he started to turn around. "Hey Naruto, did you get promoted to Chunin yesterday?" asked Udon. Naruto looked back with his foxy grin. "Nope. I got promoted to Jokyujonin," he said, and watched as three young jaws hit the floor. "Hang on, there isn't a rank called Jokyujonin," said Udon, thinking Naruto was lying. "There is now, by special order of the daimyo. Ask my dad if you don't believe me," replied Naruto. Then he walked away and continued to look for what he needed. Lunchtime, Ichirakis ramen stand. "Okay guys, order what you want, it's on me," said Naruto as he sat at the far right with Hinata on his left and then Tenten, Lee and Tazuna on the rest of the stools. All in all they ordered 17 bowls of ramen, Naruto having 10 and Hinata having 2, Tazuna and Tenten had 1 each and Lee had 3. 15 minutes after they started eating they were ready to leave. Tenten knew Naruto liked ramen and knew Lee could eat a fair amount, but Naruto practically breathed the stuff. By the time Lee finished his first bowl Naruto was on his 7th. Naruto only took 10 minutes to finish all 10 bowls. They got up and headed towards the main gate. Tazuna, Tenten and Lee were carrying bags. Naruto had his wakizashi strapped to his back and Hinata carried a wari like a staff, holding it in her left hand with her right in Naruto's. Naruto wore his special uniforms with the 4-tailed fox printed on the right B and the kanji for fox summoner on the back. Hinata had also elected to wear a uniform, but instead of the steel-like fabric she wore one of the simpler forest camouflage designs. Tenten and Lee both wore their normal clothes and Tazuna had the same ones as the last time he came to Konoha. "Are we likely to have any trouble with enemy ninja before we reach our destination?" asked Lee. "I'm not sure, Lee. Tazuna, what is the merchant like?" asked Naruto. "He's far more ruthless than Gato was. Before I left he was bringing in mercenaries to keep watch on the village and make sure that we didn't try and bring in any help," said Tazuna sadly. "So there is a high likelihood that we will be attacked several times. Most likely by Chunin to Jonin level missing ninja. Furthermore, once we get near the village, we're going to need to travel close but appear to be separate as well as taking on a civilian appearance. At least this time we know what we're up against, said Naruto. Yes, I realized last time when your sensei nearly called off the mission that if I did it again there was a high chance I wouldn't be as lucky, and after the first attack it would be called off even if you were there. So I spoke with the Hokage and explained our situation and the agreement that was made last time. We had followed through with it and gradually paid the amount an A-rank mission cost, so when I asked if it would be possible to do the same thing again the Hokage agreed, said Tazuna, seeming a little happier that he could be honest about it this time. They reached the gates and went through. Naruto and Hinata dropped to the back with Lee on point and Tenten guarding Tazuna. Naruto decided now was as good a time as any to talk to Hinata about what his father had told him last night. He knew it wasn't going to be easy, so he decided to just say it outright. The council is demanding I have another wife, he said. Hinata didn't seem all that surprised, which surprised him greatly. What did they threaten? She asked. He wasn't surprised that she knew the council had threatened something. She knew he wouldn't even have mentioned it if they hadn't. If I don't marry twice within the next 4 years, they will choose someone and force me into a civil partnership. However, I don't see that being the case. I told my dad that if they tried to force me, I would leave the village and take you with me. Whether you actually go or not is up to you, but I will leave if they try, said Naruto. He knew he didn't need to say that she had the choice. She would go with him willingly, but he thought it best to say it so she didn't have any doubts about it being a choice. I will go with you. There is no decision for me to make regarding that. Have you given any thought as to who else you might be willing to marry? She asked. No, I've only made one other decision regarding it. If I'm going to take a second wife, then you are going to have as much say in it. If you don't like her, then it's not important whether I like her or not. You will always be first on my list, and that's the end of it, he said. Okay then, who in the village is there that we could look at? She asked. Tenten, Sakura and Ino to start with. Although Tenten is with Neji now, I have a feeling Ino is looking at Shikamaru or Kiba, and Sakura I won't even consider, particularly not after yesterday, replied Naruto. I know Tenten is with Neji, I know Ino has some interest in Shikamaru, but I think she's also got an interest in Choji. I don't know about Kiba, and we're in agreement on Sakura, so who else is there? Asked Hinata. Well, I'm not really sure. I'm not into older girls, so that scratches off quite a few, or younger girls for that matter, so that doesn't leave many anyway, and the only ones left in our age group are civilians, and taking any of them isn't an option because anyone that would be in a relationship with either of us is going to have to be able to take care of themselves, otherwise they become a danger to both of us, said Naruto. So where does that leave us? Asked Hinata. Naruto had taken note of the same bush twice and could see they'd been put in a genjutsu. Well, I'm not quite sure, however currently we're stuck in a genjutsu, whispered Naruto. I know, I wonder when our opponents will decide to show themselves, whispered Hinata, as if on Q2 plants grew up behind them and turned into two people. Well, what have we got here? Four cute lil, Jenin and an ancient bridge builder, said one of them. His voice was deep and sounded like he had grit at the back of his teeth. Hey, this'll be a piece of cake. I'll take the one with buns and the bowl cut in the green spandex, said the other. His voice sounded like it was once very deep but now sounded like he had a constant sore tea. Fine by me, this should be fun, replied the first. Naruto turned round and looked at their forehead protectors. The symbol was Iwas but had a S running across the center, showing them to be missing ninja. He pulled a small book out of his left utility pouch and started to look through it. Now then, let's see. The one on the left is Ishiki Yoshida, missing ninja of Iwa, Chunin level, considered C rank. Specialty is earth-based ninjutsu with a secondary in genjutsu. On the right is Shohei Kato, also Iwa, Chunin, C rank, weapons specialist with some skill in water-based ninjutsu. Well, this shouldn't be too hard. Hinata, can you take on the dirt disaster over there, and Tenten, I'll back you up with numbnuts here. Lee, look after Tazuna, said Naruto. Okay, said Hinata. You're on, said Tenten. I will not fail you, said Lee, and with that he moved to beside Tazuna. Hinata quickly moved forward and created 3 shadow clones, whilst 2 moved straight at him. The real Hinata and the third shadow clone moved to flank him. Naruto started to quickly go through hand seals. Shohei had only a moment to look before Tenten had pulled a katana from one of her scrolls and he had to quickly dodge it whilst drawing his own katana from a scroll and blocking the next swing. Tenten kept him blocking and dodging, giving him no opportunity for a counter-attack. After Tenten's third attack, Naruto finished the hand signs, put his hands in a focus sign and targeted Shohei with it. As Shohei moved, Naruto followed his movements, ensuring that he stayed in the focus sign at all times. Hinata was making light work of Ishiki. He kept trying to take out the clones, which were dodging round his earth attacks and blocking them with water attacks from the lake a little way up. Whilst the three clones kept him occupied, she used the invisibility jutsu and timing her attacks with the careful attempts her clones made, she was striking his chakra points and closing them one by one. Shohei was struggling to match Tenten. She was excellent with weapons and he was no match for her, but he figured with this much skill in weapons she would have little to no ninjutsu techniques. He quickly made some space and performed 10 hand seals, but to his dismay nothing happened. He quickly went on the defensive again as Tenten launched another barrage of attacks. He jumped back again and started to perform more signs. Tenten took the opportunity to seal her katana back inside the scroll and take out 2 wakizashi. As he finished the last sign to again discover it wouldn't work, she launched forward and attacked with both blades. Shohei barely managed to block one blade while the second see his clothes as he dodged out of the way. He quickly analyzed what was going on. For whatever reason his ninjutsu wasn't working. And his opponent, whilst young, was highly skilled and as proven already, could alter her style to best suit each situation. His chance of survival was dropping fast. Even if he survived this fight, he still had to worry about the guy in the spandex guarding the bridge builder and the kid in black, and by the look of Ishiki he was barely standing. Even if he managed to defeat his opponent, it looked like he wasn't going to be much help. The main thing that was still worrying him was what had happened to his ninjutsu. It was then he noticed that Naruto was targeting him with a focus sign. Damn. If I'm going to have any chance of surviving this, I'm going to have to find a way to beat this girl and then take out that guy. Worrying thing is he seems to be the one giving orders, and considering the strength of these two, how strong would that make him? Thought Shohei as he blocked another attack, only this time the second blade nicked his arm. He was getting tired and fast, and this girl wasn't even looking like she was starting to tire. He managed to block both of the next attacks, but then took a severe blow to his shoulder. She'd attacked with both blades at the same time but using completely different movements. Damn, she was holding back, thought Shohei. Excellent, he was already fighting at full strength and now he's tiring out. Time to take it up another notch and end this, thought Tenten, pushing chakra into her arms and legs to increase her speed. Looks like Tenten won't be leaving him alive. At least Hinata will leave the other one alive long enough to answer some questions, thought Naruto. Tenten began attacking very quickly, landing blows so quickly he couldn't block any of them, having not recovered from the last before the next hit. Again and again she struck while Naruto maintained the focus sign and kept it focused on him, so even if he got the opportunity he couldn't use any jutsu. As Naruto glanced through his Fuengan, he could see that Hinata's opponent was barely standing and wouldn't last long, but he'd still be alive, unlike Tenten's opponent who was also barely standing, but unlike his comrade who was suffering from chakra depletion and the closure of a good number of his chakra points, he was suffering from a lot of pain and starting to suffer from B loss. As Shohei stood shakily, Tenten took a quick step back, spun on the toes of her left foot, and as she turned back to face him, the blade in her right hand leveled with his en and she pulled the one in her left back so that the tsuba was in line with her body. Then at the same point that the blade in her right hand started to see through his en, she pushed her left hand forward and plunged the blade into his C up to the tsuba. His head tipped to the side and then rolled off his shoulders and onto the ground. As she finished the C, she pulled her blade from his C, and then she and Naruto glanced at Hinata to find she had her opponent subdued on the floor, apparently alive but unable to move. As she saw this, she came out of her battle state, ran over to a tree, and resting her hands against it for support, she leant over and proceeded to get reacquainted with her lunch. Naruto walked over to Hinata and kissed her on the cheek. Good job, Shinju, I knew I could count on you to leave him alive for questioning, he said to her. Thank you, Naruto, she said quietly. Now then, as for you, start talking. I want to know who you're working for, who your commander is, and what exactly were you intending to do with Tazuna. I would advise you to talk. We can stay here and watch us slowly and painfully over the next 2 hours or so, or you can answer my questions and I'll put you out of your misery now, said Naruto to the missing ninja, his face turning stoic and his eyes growing hard and cold. The missing ninja didn't seem bothered. Ha, Within an hour and a half there will be 4 more ninja the same level as me on their way to take the bridge builder and they'll just K all 4 of you. Your little girlfriend is almost out of chakra. The other girl over there seems to be a little low on energy too, and I doubt you or the other guy have any strength at all, said Ishiki smugly. Naruto just laughed. My fiancé used almost no chakra to take you out. The girl over there and the guy looking after Tazuna are hardly weakened. As for me, well, let's just say I would quite easily take out half of Iwa before I even started to notice I was missing chakra. I'm the son of Konoha's Yellow Flash, the 4th Hokage, and I'm considerably stronger than he is, said Naruto. Ishiki didn't want to believe him, but when he felt the chakra levels of the 2 kids standing in front of him he almost passed out from fear. The girl's was low enough, but it was quite apparent that she was nowhere near running out, and he'd already seen the level of her chakra control, and as for the boy, he couldn't even tell how much he had or if he'd even used any of it. The chakra of the other 2 was a lot lower, but he'd already seen that one was a weapons expert, and he suspected that, since the other boy had almost no chakra, he'd be a very skilled taijutsu specialist. Okay, I'll talk. I know when my comrades are outmatched, and at least by talking I can save their lives. We were hired by a guy called Sapai. He hired us to K the bridge builder to make sure that he couldn't rebuild the Great Naruto Bridge. He knows he village's spirit isn't broken, despite how the villages try to appear. My boss is a missing ninja from Iwa called Runan Chanbara. I would advise you not tell him you're the Yellow Flash's son. He was spared by him during the war and disgraced because of it. He lives only to find a way to redeem himself, said Ishiki. Naruto looked a little shocked at the name. Hinata picked up on it and wondered what was wrong. Naruto, what's wrong? She asked, worried about him. My father told me about that guy, Runan Chanbara. When I got the bingo book earlier I looked him up and made a point of committing the information on him to memory. He's a special Jonin missing ninja, known for being able to use multiple large swords. As he said, my father let him live and afterwards he swore revenge and redemption. When the opportunity for the Tsuchikage arose he challenged for the La, but unlike the Hokage the position of Tsuchikage is decided by a series of tests. He scrapped through the first test of loyalty to the village and then had to be stopped several times before he K other candidates. He failed the final test, to be willing to protect the village, but regardless it was proven then that in terms of power he was at least the level of a Kage if not stronger, said Naruto. He then stood up, turned round and spoke to Lee, Tenten and Tazuna. Get ready to go now, we're moving out and we need to move fast, he said. Then Ishiki spoke up. What are you going to do with me now? He asked, fear laced into his shaky voice. I'm going to let you live, but you're going to be waking up in a cell in Konoha, at which point it's up to you to decide what you're going to do. A guard will be there to explain your options, said Naruto. He then hit Ishiki and knocked him unconscious and created a shadow clone. The shadow clone then placed a hand on Ishiki and vanished. Naruto then walked over to Lee, Tenten and Tazuna with Hinata following right behind him. Okay, then we need to put a good distance between us and here that will buy us the time we need before his companions arrive to see what's happened to him, said Naruto, and walking over to Shohei's head and body he pulled out a scroll from his left utility pouch. When he reached the body he unrolled the scroll and sealed the head and body into it. He placed the scroll back into his pouch and walked back over to the group. They then moved off, running as fast as Tazuna could manage. Half an hour later Tazuna was exhausted. They had managed to put 3 miles behind them and Naruto was hoping it would be enough to leave. There would be pursuers behind and guessing for long enough while he did what he needed to do. Alright, we can stop here. Hinata, can you keep a lookout for anyone on our tail? Lee, Tenten, rest but be on guard. You need to be able at a moment's notice. Tazuna, stay between me, Lee and Tenten, instructed Naruto. Lee was puzzled and voiced his confusion. What are you going to do, Naruto? He asked, looking at Naruto who was starting to sit down with his legs crossed. He looked up at Lee and smiled. I'm going to start doing a jutsu. Only problem with it is that it requires over 1500 hand signs, so I need quite a lot of time. Even the Sharingan can't copy this one regardless of the speed I use it at. It's too long, said Naruto as he finished sitting down. He then put his hands together and started to focus his chakra. After about a minute he started slowly going through hand signs. Hinata had already activated her Junkagen and had sat down beside Naruto. After watching Naruto work, Lee and Tenten sat down near Naruto in a triangle formation with Tazuna sitting in the center. Have you any idea what he's doing, Hinata? Asked Tenten, still not quite sure what Naruto was up to. I have a vague idea. He mentioned last night about a jutsu that would allow him to travel huge distances in moments, but it drains about half his chakra and takes a long time to perform. I think he's a little worried because when I asked him why he didn't just use it to take us straight there, he said he'd rather not use it unless he felt that he really needed to, replied Hinata. Lee still seemed confused. What could have gotten him worried? He's probably the most powerful ninja in the world, he said. This time it was Tazuna's turn to answer. He isn't worried about himself, and if I'm any judge, he won't be worried about you guys. My guess is he's worried about Tsunami, said Tazuna. Who's Tsunami? Asked Tenten, thinking she may have been someone that Naruto saw as a potential girlfriend at one point or an ex. Even at best she thought he might see her as a kind of sister. Tsunami is my daughter, and from what I could gather from Naruto's old sensei Kakashi, she was the first person to treat Naruto the way a mother would, and to her son Inari Naruto became something of a brother, giving him the courage that he lost when his father was killed in front of his eyes. From there Inari was able to inspire the entire village to fight back. That's why we called it the Great Naruto Bridge. This time we knew not to try and fight back without the help we would need. The village is acting like it's lost hope, but as soon as we know the tide is changing, we'll be ready to do our part, explained Tazuna. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.